Don't forget to remind them it's the 23rd of June.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Miles and Points Report. I'm glad that I have multiple Emmy winner Rudy Maxa with me today. He's won so many Emmys, it's not even funny. So he can let us know how we do a broadcast. I have a little feedback here. Let me just turn off the speaker here in the background. Sorry about that.
First thing is to get rid of the feedback. That's
right, exactly. So now we know that.
And let's remind everybody it's Thursday, the 23rd of June, 2022. So everything we talk about today is relevant to today, but may not be if you're watching this 6 months or 2 years later. So,
right, it might not be relevant tomorrow. Somebody will come up with something funny.
Right.
So the Miles and Points Report is every 2 weeks. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, it's 3 o'clock Pacific, 3 p.m. Pacific every 2 weeks, where we have a longer conversation about what's going on in the Miles and Points world primarily, but also in travel in general, because that's how we use our miles and points.
And Tommy, can I just say to begin, I'm at a friend's house in Pacific Palisades in Southern California. It's a suburb of Los Angeles near Santa Monica. And my hostess, I've heard her just walk in the kitchen, is talking, does not know I'm doing a webcast. So she may come in here and say something, and I'll just tell her we're doing a webcast. So just want to give you a
good to know. You've seen those bloopers on TV, CBS ladies, she's presenting and the dog runs through the whole thing and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. So on the agenda today, we're going to talk we'll start a little bit about some aviation news. And the aviation news of this that happened yesterday, I wouldn't really necessarily call it a
leap forward.
It's something that's really revolutionary, if you will. It's more of an Airbus 321 is an Airbus 321, and like a Boeing 737 is a Boeing 737, whether it's 100 or a 200 or a 300 or whatever the case may be. The next generation, though, had its first flight yesterday. It's the Airbus A321 XLR, and an XLR just stands for extra long range, and had its first flight in Hamburg. And for a lot of the supporters that we have been to Hamburg, we've been there twice visiting the Airbus factory throughout times through the Megadu, one of which we landed with our own Airbus 320 there. And but what does that actually mean to you as a traveler and for you to be redeeming your points? So what Airbus is doing with these planes, so they've put on new engines on them, which is these engines are extremely efficient. They burn 30% less fuel than the previous generation of the aircraft. Bear in mind, they're not burning 30% less than the LR that's already in existence. That, for example, Aer Lingus uses those, SAS uses those, TAP Air Portugal uses those. So they SAS flies from Copenhagen to Dulles, TAP flies to Dulles, they fly to New York, they fly to, all across the Atlantic, Boston, things like that, and so does Aer Lingus. So it's literally the Airbus 321 that you set foot on, which most of the viewers have obviously been on. It really is the same airplane, but it's a more modern version of it. So meaning that it's cleaner air, it's better air, it's the altitude, better engines, better for the environment in that sense. But the size of the plane and what goes in it is up to the airline, right? So it's still a 3+3 in economy and whatever you want to put up there. And Rudy, you fly Delta a lot, so you've been on these planes a fair amount of time.
Yeah, I prefer them sometimes to the 757s as they're still flying as well. As you say, it really depends how each airline outfits the cabin as to whether it's a better flying experience for anybody. You say the air conditioning system here is better.
Right.
And you said they can go longer distances, though if the A320 can make it between Europe and North America, this one, what did you say, 4,000 nautical miles for this one, did you
4,700 nautical miles. And the current long range is 4,000 nautical miles. So 700 miles longer than that, which means that you can then hop around for 9 hours, easy.
Okay, so it's a little long distance. We don't know how each airline is going to outfit it inside, except you say 3 and 3 seating in coach, which is no great award.
Right. So what we do know is that they have, we've seen what some people have done. There is there is precedence on what some airlines have already done with these planes. And that means that like, for example, SAS, they have, let me just put it up on the screen here of how they have what approach they've had to it.
This is the new A321 XLR that you're going to show us?
They have the LR. It's the same plane. It's just literally a bigger gas tank, right?
Thank you. Yeah,
so
okay.
The difference between the XLR and the LR is a bigger gas tank. That's the only difference between the two. There's no other difference between the two other than you can put more gas in the new one. So which means that you cannot that you can put less luggage and less cargo in it, because this is a center tank, so it's not really. We'll go through that after. But as you can see here, so SAS, they have a 2+2. They have like a staggered Thompson seat. It kind of reminds you a little bit of what it's pretty much the same seat as JetBlue has on their 321s. And as you can see, also they have a premium economy, which is the same as the domestic US first class, but it's a little bit more legroom, and also it's got a footrest behind right here. And then it's coach 3+3 all the way in the back. So
and what's on the bottom here? The 350-900?
Yeah, the 350. So they want to come. So this is supposed to be, from Flyer Talk, and you can see the Airbus 350 that SAS also operates, and how just the wide body is. Now they have decided to do a setup where there's 333 also in economy, but obviously SAS has a much better business class seat here, the same as Qantas actually has on their plane. And let's bring in Jamie also. I see he's also. Hey, Jimbolino, what's going on, man?
Hola.
So what do you think about this? Narrow body flying for 8 to 9 hours from Dulles to Helsinki, to Rome. It's London. London is already. We're doing that already. We've been doing that for years. I mean, Continental was like, and also American, from Philly to Amsterdam and from Philly to London and things. They've been sporting this for years with 757s. Now we have much more range. We have, full 1,500 miles longer range that we can do with the XLR. What do you think of that?
I mean, I think there's kind of two uses for it. One is for mid markets, right? So let's say Philly to Nice or Philly to Lisbon, or kind of these secondary cities, and or providing additional frequencies at perhaps non-peak times. I mean, when you're saying this is going to fly from, let's say, Philly to London, I'd imagine that, let's say, American were to choose to fly this at a sort of off hour, maybe not necessarily during peak hours, or someone's going to fly this to more secondary, cities in Europe that aren't hubs or that type of a thing. That's where I think the use is.
Right. Well, it's, talking about the range, it's 4,700 miles. So that means that you can reach anywhere in Europe. You can go pretty much from Chicago to Athens. You can go from Miami to Oslo. You can go anywhere from the East Coast, and you can also go from the Midwest easily. I think that with the goals, though, that airlines have, I think we're kind of going backwards here. So they're tooting the horn that it's going to use 30% less gas, but compared to a 350 per seat, it uses almost double amount of fuel per seat. If a 350 is full versus a 321 in the config that SAS has, you're using double the amount of gas getting those passengers across the pond, and you can't move cargo at all to speak of. So when the airlines are then saying, "Oh, it's good for the environment," blah blah blah, it's 30% less fuel than the old 321. Well, the 321 was made for, between 2,000 and 3,000 miles, and now we're talking 4,700. Historically, I used to fly these planes. So Boeing has something called the Boeing Business Jet. And the Boeing Business Jet is a 737 with big gas tanks, right? And the winglets. And Private Air used to operate those for KLM and Lufthansa. And there used to be a Dusseldorf business class only flight that I used to fly a lot back in the days between Dusseldorf and Chicago. Because if you throw out, 80% of the seats, then it becomes really comfortable. Still has the same it lacks kind of the area to go and have a couple of drinks and stretch your legs for a 9-hour flight. It kind of lacks that. And I don't know how I feel about it. Let's go through the list. Simple Flying has a good write-up about this, right? So they're going to come out in 2024. They were supposed to they're a year behind schedule, probably because of the COVID. It opens up longer routes to lower capacity aircraft. And here's the thing. Do we want that? Do we think that that's a good idea right now when we're talking about global warming in the environment?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to compare planes against planes for fuel efficiency per passenger flying. You're saying it's going to be worse, which surprises me.
Well, per seat in reality. So this plane uses a lot less gas than the old 321, 30% less gas.
So why aren't we?
Of course, you have a much less seat on these planes than you do on a 350, for example.
Right.
So, a 350 has 300 plus seats. This one is configured to about probably 170, 180 seats.
Well, but there are routes where you can't fill a 350, so you got to have a plane.
That's true. But but we're talking about them using them for example, JFK to London to get more flights, to get more frequency.
Sure, but you mentioned, if this plane, so let's say I want to go from, I don't know, I'm going to pick a random city, right? New York to Budapest, right? There's very limited nonstop flights. And if this one's going to take me there nonstop, I don't know, would it use less fuel than going through London and then down into Budapest or Amsterdam? I don't know. I haven't done the math. But
well, the champagne consumption will obviously be much higher because of the champagne quality of champagnes in BA's lounges. So
there you go.
So that we're going to see an increase in that. So it's definitely popular because of that. So as you can see, it's 450 orders, and in the U.S. so Air Canada's got 20 of them on order, and American, United, Frontier, and JetBlue has substantial orders. With I think United and American has 50 each, which is which means that they're trying to replace their 757s. Right, that's the story here. And American didn't put in a new order. They changed their order from an LR to an XLR. So they literally had an order in, but they converted some of them. So there's some speculation in here that, So the difference we talked about that already. There's the center fuel tank we're talking about. It's literally in the center of the plane where cargo used to go. So, but there's also, this is the center tank. So it also has where the wings are kind of, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to tell you that that's the case, but putting more gas in, it's going to cost, flying gas waste, its weight, and weight costs money to lift if you want to lift, so absolutely. So it says it's 40,000 liters, right? So that's center tank. How many liters? So that's how many liters is 12,000. What do we call that? What is it? Ounces, or what do we call it here in the how much is
gallon? You would call it gallons.
12,900 liters to gallons. That is 3,500 gallons of gas that they're putting extra in because of that new center tank that you're seeing there.
Okay.
And lifting that off the ground at 500 miles an hour, So, and the last thing, we're not going to stay on the subject for too long. Not everybody's going to feel that this is interesting, but Boeing has not launched a competitor here. I mean, we know that the 737 MAX took all the resources that Boeing had for development and, put them into a difficult situation. But there was a new mid-size aircraft to fill the void from the 767 and the 757. With long legs that has the capabilities to do many things. And what we've seen is that they dropped the project early of 2020 for now. But these guys are saying that they likely will. The Boeing 737 MAX does not have any more to go on. There's no way that they can extend it and expand it any more than it has. It is beyond the limits already. With the 10, it doesn't have as much range, and it's just difficult in the future. It's just an imbalanced aircraft, and it's a perfect aircraft. It's a great, phenomenal airplane, and it's the safest plane in the world right now after all that went through the scrutiny for that. But Yeah, it's an interesting thing for that. So the reason we have Jamie on, though, we're going to flow into that. So there was some news from today from American Express about their Bonvoy card.
What's the word? What have we got here?
Jamie, I'm sure you know about that.
So the premium card, which is the Brilliant card, normally came with a $300 statement credit when you used it at any Marriott hotel, and you could use it on room rate, you could use it on food, you could use it on whatever you wanted, and it's super easy to use. I mean, you just swipe your card like any other, check-in, right, and it automatically credits you back. And in fact, mine just credited a few days ago because my renewal year is in June. So super easy to use. You could use it in multiple increments in one stay, which I know many people were a fan of. Just book a 300+ night stay somewhere, and you automatically get it back. So
Right.
now,
what is the card cost?
$450 a year.
$450, and that comes with Priority Pass access. It comes with Gold Elite status. Tommy's got it right there.
300 back in flight credits or anything on the airline. So really, the card.
No. This is a Marriott credit.
Hotel.
Okay. So if you stay at Marriott, you're getting 300 back. So your cost is now 150 for the card.
Right, correct. But you have a free year rewards night also.
Okay, so it's a wash.
Yeah, it's essentially break even. The free night award is up to 50,000 points a night, and that's pretty decent. So you're getting a little bit more than a wash. But now the issue.
But what about now? So the changes now, Jamie. What are we talking about?
So now Marriott, as of or Amex, I guess, as of September, it's a $25 a month credit at restaurants. So instead of using the $300 theoretically all at once on a Marriott hotel, now you have to spend at least $25 a month at any restaurants. And so they're forcing you to use the card more often, right? So they're hoping it's going to become a daily use card for you. And they're hoping that some people are frankly not going to use the credit, where it was pretty easy to use the $300 Marriott credit. It's likely that some people will forget about it, you decide to use another card, whatever it is, and miss out on either one or more of the $25 monthly credits. And of course, every time you don't use it, that's just money in Amex's pocket that they don't need to reimburse for you.
Yeah, I don't like the change. That change.
No,
not a positive change in the new card.
What?
Is there a positive change in the new Marriott?
No, that's the only change.
No.
Well, I think that the card was kind of a gimme itself. It has the same earning as the Ritz-Carlton credit card, right? Meaning that it earns 6, 3, and 2. And meaning that, and also we're talking Marriott points here. We're not talking, valuable points here. We're talking about, banana points now because of the inflation that they are, the changes to the program entails.
Right.
So getting 2 points per dollar spent here is, how do we value that compared to 2 Capital One miles or 2 membership rewards miles points, Jamie?
I mean, I think Capital One and Amex are much more valuable. Really, the only way I get value out of Marriott points now is transferring them to airline partners, and I think that's the one good thing. If they devalue that further, that's going to be a huge punch in the gut. But that's primarily where I transfer my points. It's quick, it's painless. It can go to pretty much any airline worldwide. So that's the one reason I maybe put spend on my Marriott card.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know what next year is going to look at. I mean, there are good redemption rates also for Marriott itself. It all really depends now. The question has changed. The answer to that question has changed, and we don't know what the answer will be when the revenue-based program goes into full effect. But right now, I can tell you from a guy who just came from the world's leading loyalty industry conference, the Loyalty Summit in Chicago, where these things were discussed. And one thing that what they're literally doing here is trying to bet that you will spend $25 on your card or you will use your card more often
at a restaurant.
That's not going to happen. You have American Express Gold Card who gives 4 miles per dollar spent on restaurant in domestic only. You have, which is also it's not even a premium card. It's a $250 or $275 a year card. And then you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which gives 3 miles per dollar spent on dining as well, which is much, much better. Which is, I would say, it comes to about double or about 75% more value than what this. But this is not a card where you should be putting anything on, like at all. Not even Marriott point, but Marriott stays.
The $25 credit's only good at Marriott restaurants, right?
No, they're good at any restaurant. So they literally, I don't understand this move, because we're talking about, a card, their top tier card. This is the best Marriott has to offer. It's a premium card with $450 a year.
Okay, I didn't know it was 25 at any restaurant. Well, that helps a little, but geez.
Yeah, so they're literally, so the play here is like exactly what Jamie's completely right. They're banking on you to not remember that you have this credit. Melinda they've changed also her Amex a long time ago. The one that's this one right here on the right. She has the previous SPG card. What is that called, Jamie? The other one, on the right here, that is $95 a year.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
No, this is the business card. It's not that. It's called something else. It's a less
Boundless, isn't it? Isn't it Boundless or something?
Boundless. That's what it's called. And it's the same thing. You get $10 or $15 a month to spend on that stupid card, and you forget about it. I mean, you can be one of those guys that has stickers on their credit cards to remember things that you have to put on them, like some Dumpski.
So here's another point here, and I think this is valuable. I've got an Amex Gold, just like probably you guys do, and I put all my restaurant spend on there. It comes with a $10 a month monthly credit at Cheesecake Factory, Ruth's Chris, whatever. And so normally I just go to Cheesecake Factory because there's one across the street from me and I buy a gift card. But I have to remember to do that, which is a pain in the ass. Problem number 2 is that you essentially have to purchase it by the 25th, let's say, of every month, because it has to post by the end of the month. And I've been in trouble before where if you go on the 28th, 29th, 30th, you're screwed because it posts for the next month and then you lose your $10. And of course you write it into Amex and they don't give a crap. They're not going to reimburse you. They're not going to give you any sort of credit. So you're really limited to 25 days out of a month. And now I've got to remember, did I use my credit? Did I not use it? Is it going to post in time? I think this credit idea is just stupid.
Okay, thumbs down then.
It's just this is now turned so and here's the interesting part. If you take out the time the COVID was going on, they revamped their card collection like in 2018, and this is the best that they can come back with. There's no inspirational stuff, and the move here is so crazy because instead of spending money at a Marriott hotel, maybe it's because they have high demand now in the summer, but it's really that's not really the case. There are many areas that does not have high demand right now on hotels. If you go into Florida, you're going to Southern California, or you're going to Hawaii, yes, there's high demand, but there are other places. So why would Marriott want them to go to restaurants that they have? The main benefit of the card is a $300 credit at a place that they get no business from. I just don't understand that. So obviously they get a piece of the annual fee or something like that, and they are banking on people not to use their credits. So this card, I say, Jamie, what do you say? I think that this card is now something that people shouldn't get.
Yeah, I mean, I keep it for the 15 elite night credits. There's the 50,000 point.
Yeah, but you could do that on the Ritz card or the boundless one.
Yeah,
they have the same benefit.
Perhaps I'll keep it to see, because I'm going to spend $25 a month in a restaurant anyway, right? And I'm sure you are too. So maybe I'll sort of see how it goes.
But I'm going to forget about it, and
I know if I end up forgetting whatever, then at that point maybe I'll cancel.
Yeah. Plus the $25 a month doesn't send you to a Marriott necessarily, whereas the $300 a year did. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I feel like it's a very strange move and very, very surprising. Well, I wouldn't say that it's surprising from anything out there of these guys. I think that people, if they're going to do something Marriott right now, I think that the best gig that they should do is to go for the Ritz card. I mean, I think that's the best card that's there right now. What do you think, Jamie?
You're saying someone should? Well, you can't apply for the Ritz card. You can convert.
You can convert to the Ritz card from any.
How is that better than? Walk me. I honestly don't know the answer. Walk me, because you have it. What's different about that?
You have it's $395 a year for the card is how much it costs, and it has the same free night award, 50,000, but the 300 can go to the $300 credit can go towards any airline that you want. So what I used it for, I paid for a $300 upgrade from San Francisco to New York in Polaris, a paid upgrade. And that was how I used my $300. And it can go, it's not as free and good as first of all, it's a chase card. So it's just easier to deal with them, right? That's the first thing. And the second thing is that I feel like the $300 that you get for incidentals can be used for upgrades. It can be used for, anything that you want for an airline. And also people are successful in buying $50 gift cards or $100 gift cards as well. They have also been good on that. So I think that that $300, I'm able to use it every year. You also have you also have a $100 property credit at Ritz, and you also have an upgrade to the club level at Ritz. You need to buy the best available rate on their website. There are prepaid rates and AAA and corporate rates. They don't qualify, but the best available rate, member rate, does. So that means that you can get good value out of those. I have personally not used them lately, but right now when the club upgrades cost $400 a night, it's a good value. There's value in it. There's just more value in that card than it is before. And also it has the best, you said that it's priority pass, but Amex's priority pass doesn't allow for an extra guest. Right?
Right.
Yeah, Ritz does.
And the Ritz card does. You can have a whole armada of people with you into the lounge. And also Ritz card works at restaurants. You can go to that place in Denver, that restaurant that's pretty decent, and live it up while the Amex card, Amex's thing will show you the middle finger. So it's just a better card. So I would say if you're going to buy a premium Marriott card, then go for the Ritz one, a premium one. It's better than this.
Right.
This is this whole thing. It's not going to work. They know it in advance. People, airlines, hotels, and everybody, they know about breakage. People are not using their credits. They're not using their stuff. And if you cut it up into 12 little pieces, something's going to get missed. So that's
all right. Next topic. This was something I didn't know. LA mandates hotels to bring back daily service. What? When did that happen?
Right. Yes, sir. And
Who mandated?
There's been a lot of information. We talked about, Rudy, on your show as well. We talked about this, and also in the travel minutes that we try to do almost every day. We not every day, but we're trying our best. And we've talked about housekeepers, and it turns out that it's just it's also, you're looking at this, the Marriott Bonvoy insider thing. It's like, they can't find anybody. The people don't want to work. They're still on welfare from COVID. The government's paying them to stay home. All that BS from one end to another. But we know the reality is now, and we can see what the city is saying. They will limit housekeepers to have, they have to do it once a day. It's mandated daily room cleanup is what's
Yeah, I see. And the hotel association says, that'll use more water, and we're in a drought, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's the old song and dance from hotels. That's why they are concerned about that. It's because the environment. So, and Gary is all about the, as you can see in the picture, they found mold in a body wash tank at a Fairfield Inn, or what was it? Of course, it's a Marriott, Spring Hill Suites. Yeah.
Nice.
And Gary is saying that he's diverting this article into the way that he hates these, because he likes to bring the fancy amenities home. That's why it's an abomination to that. Well, that's my guess, anyways. I have no problems with the communal stuff. I just want a bar of soap. I'm used to using a bar of soap home. I hate the what is it called, the body wash or whatever it's called. But besides that, I'm okay with the communal stuff. No, but I think that, hotels have always, hang up your towel and don't come back until the other day, save the environment, blah, 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 all that.
Well, they don't give you enough racks to hold up your towels, by the way. If two people are using it, there's only rack for one towel, It's nicely folded 3 times.
I think that at the end of the day, right now we are seeing very highly inflated hotel prices.
Yeah.
We also are seeing that hotels are lying about they can't find staff. because the unions went out in USA Today about 3 weeks ago and said, hey, Marriott, hey, Hilton, hire us back. Why am I only at 50% position? And why am I cleaning 75% of the rooms I have at 50% position? Remember, Jamie, we were in Chicago, the bellhop at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare. Remember him? He only got 4 hours a day to be a bellhop to help out with stuff. And
and he was only working, I don't know, 3-4 days out of the month or something, just because we were there for that conference.
He was like only working when there was a conference or a convention or something, right?
Right. Correct. And that's ridiculous. So obviously the guys are there, they want to work, and the hotels, they're just blaming COVID and they're blaming the situation. And you have the gullible, Trumpanzees who are like, oh, people are sitting home on Biden's funds and all that. It's things that doesn't even exist, right? So no, I think that it's interesting. So LA is now mandated, Let's click on the link. I didn't read the link. Gary launched into this whole communal thing. Approves measure to reduce workload for housekeepers. So, they have to limit the workload and pay for overtime, and they also have to, offer daily housekeeping. Yep. And the hotels are saying that the executive director of the Hotel Association of Los Angeles, which opposed the measure, also suggested that reintroducing daily room cleaning, the measure would force hotels to use more water in a time of unprecedented drought. Oh, good Lord Almighty. Mandatory daily room cleaning would increase the use of water as well as electricity and gas in perpetuity. Cry me a river. All
right. Well, this will be interesting to see if anybody else starts mandating this. That's interesting that the LA City Council did that.
Hey, I think that it's great. I think that it's sad that American companies are again the ones, the Europeans are back on the ball. The three of us stayed combined over 90 days, close to 90 days at hotels in a month in Europe for each of us combined. And did we have any issues with people doing housekeeping for us if we wanted it?
Nope,
not at all. Did we have any issues? The only place that I saw there were COVID stuff going on was that the minibar at the Radisson Blu Hotel Bryggen in Bergen was bringing it back June 1st, and the Marriott, shocker, the Sheraton in Stockholm also were bringing it back, but later. No date required, but same thing with the bellhop there. And then in the Marriott in Copenhagen, they nuked it all together. But besides that, there was no issue.
Next topic.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Norse Atlantic. So Norse Atlantic had their inaugural flight between Oslo and JFK and back with their long ships, which are what the old Viking ships were called.
Right.
If you look at the tail of this plane, I can't see it here in this article. Ethan Clapper, who's a great writer for TPG, he did a little bit of digging into the filings and such. And it looks to me like North Atlantic has filed for 3 more destinations between London now and the United States. So last week we talked a little bit about about the Norse and their expansion, what they're doing from Berlin. So that was they're flying from Berlin to JFK and Fort Lauderdale and LA, I think it was. New York and LA is what they're doing. So let's bring it over here. So what they're saying now is that Norse has applied for San Francisco, and they've also applied for Rockford outside of
Chicago.
Rockford.
Oh,
yeah, Rockford,
Illinois.
Yeah, so it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. I actually landed there once. We had to divert to put some gas in after circling at O'Hare for a while, and I
never landed in Rockford.
Is there commercial service there now or no?
There is commercial service, but no, there's not. There's commercial service domestic, but it's not international. There's no international.
No,
service
but there is domestic service. Oh, that's interesting.
There is domestic service. I think that Frontier or like Allegiant and those type of airlines fly there. So yeah.
So they're adding Ontario, which is a Los Angeles airport.
Well, I don't understand. I don't know if that's correct, because they were, admittedly, they were supposed. I think that this is wrong. I think they're incorrect here, because they already have announced LAX to London. That's announced. That's on their website. So I was just looking at that, and I think that that's absolutely wrong. I think this is from the earlier paperwork. As you can see here, it's LAX, right?
Right.
So I don't think that that's correct. I think that they found this in the filings. They were filing for Ontario first.
Now they
decided to skip that when they. I think this is something that they do in order to get AOCs to the operating certificates, to early certificates, in order they have to apply for that to get their certificate, and they put these as placeholder. They also put Stewart in upstate New York, or not upstate.
So we got BWI, Baltimore Washington International, and San Francisco SFO.
Right.
Joining Chicago, Rockford, and Ontario.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be O'Hare. I think it is definitely LAX, because the London LAX has already been. So Oakland is Norwegian flew to Oakland first. They made a good deal with them, and then when this price became the same, they moved to SFO because it's more convenient. Baltimore is definitely a low cost airport, and Jamie's
85 miles
to go to.
Says Rockford's 85 miles away from the Chicago Loop. That's a long schlep in the old Uber car if you have them.
Not just that, but when you are by O'Hare, then all of a sudden your average miles per hour will be 5. So it's interesting to see the expansion. I hope this is what I expected and what I hoped. I don't like the Berlin thing, because that was what killed Norwegian, was that they open up bases in Italy. They open up bases in Netherlands. They open up bases in Spain. They open up bases all over the place, and had so many different markets to go into. To focus on London and have a lot of flights from London is a winner. And they also had an agreement with EasyJet. So if you were further on into Europe, then you can do that thing. But it's great for you, Jamie, that Norse is coming there. That means that when we go to the Loyalty Summit in London, we can fly local, and we can fly on Norse Atlantic. And I'm going to call Björn Ture and make sure we get some free tickets so you can try them out there. How does that sound?
Painful.
BWI. Anything else?
All right. So.
Anything else? Park Hyatt Vendome.
We are going to talk a little. We got 7 minutes less to chat about. 7 minutes more to chat about. We are going to talk about the poor Southwest pilots. They are so overworked and so underpaid, and they decided to show up at the airport by Love Field and wave their flag. These are probably the same dudes that refused to get the vaccine back in the day. And, it's, so I decided to look it up. How much do you think a first officer makes on average at Southwest?
$185,000.
$227,000.
Whoa, almost a quarter of a million.
And a captain's salary tops out at over $500,000 a year. And it says in here that the Southwest pilots are out picketing at the airport to get public opinion against them. And they make, on average, 7 times more than the average American makes. So, what do you think?
Well, how does it stack up against their competitors? Delta, United, and American. I mean, that's probably what they're looking at.
Look at the water bottles on the ground there from between each of the guys. I don't even know what to say, man.
But if they're looking at Delta, United, and American, and they're getting paid more than Southwest is, and Southwest isn't happy. I mean, that's how it works all the time.
Southwest has historically had a very stable and good relationship with their staff. It is a place where people are happy to go to work. I love the airline. I think they have a lot going for them. And face it, before COVID, they had been in business for 40 years, and they had made money every single
quarter, every single quarter, and every single year. Yeah.
Right. So at the end of the day, I think that they have a point, right now, we need to hire more people. We need to get back into the groove. I think the last time I read, I'm not going to hold me to it, but the last article I read, Southwest still has 100 planes on the ground because they don't have staff to fly them.
Wow.
So, and I've noticed from here to Chicago, I usually fly them from here to Chicago because it's so simple and they have 3 flights a day. And also Midway is more convenient to get into the loop from if you take public transportation. So I just
when you say here, you mean Sacramento, California?
Yeah, Sacktown. And Southwest has over 50% market share here. So I fly Southwest a lot. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a big fan of that, especially on the short flights. But I think that at the end of the day, if I were the pilots, I would talk about hiring more people. That's what I would focus on. I think that recruitment and coming out and saying that you're not going to hire people, that says pilot retention and recruitment. No, we're not going to, it's going to be very difficult to do that because of the pay we have. I mean, if I had a career option and an average of a captain at Southwest was over 300 grand, I don't know. I think that recruiting somebody to do that job is not very hard. I think that the difficulty is that these unions have, we talked about that, Rudy, and you and I earlier in the week, that it's important that they focus on getting the guys who are starting out better paid because they absolutely deserve it, because they do some heavy lifting. So it will be interesting to see. It's definitely rumbling, and it's not just here. We also see United are now cutting back 12% on Newark flights throughout the summer. And they are solely domestic routes. They're just pulling down some frequency in order to get better operational success. Which I think is not a bad idea. I think they're doing a good job with that. And, it's going to inconvenience some people, but, those are the breaks. I don't know what to tell you. Getting stuck for days at an airport. And, when flights are as full as they are now, what are you going to rebook to if your flight's canceled? It's difficult. Right. So, and then lastly, on the work, obviously you guys don't understand what it says here. There is a big thing brewing in Scandinavia. You have both the pilots and the mechanics. So the SAS pilots, again, a company that's really insolvent, right? They are not going to make it unless they get capital, right? And the pilots are, they claim that that SAS is changing the business model on hiring younger people at less money and that kind of stuff, which is probably true. But at the end of the day, they are competing with lots of low-cost carrier in Europe, and SAS really isn't more than a low-cost carrier. They have their premium product in front is you getting the free buy on board, but the seats are the same. Jamie, you flew them, so you can attest to that. You were in Plus, right?
Yeah, I was in a bulkhead aisle seat in Plus.
Yeah, so literally the difference is the service on board is if you have you get free buy on board. That's literally the thing. So that's the difference between that. Scandinavia is going to have the impact is on SAS only, but in Norway you have the mechanics that are responsible for Widerøe, for Norwegian, and for SAS, the union that works for the company that outsourced to fix the planes and do line maintenance, and if something breaks, that's the end of that. So it can have big impacts. So they're talking about lockout. They're going to say that we are not interested in having you guys here, so you're not welcome at work. So they're throwing them out before SAS are now. That's what this article is about. So
you can't quit.
Keep it. There's all over Europe and all over the U.S. There are rumblings. I think that it's a little bit tone deaf with the situation that the industry is in right now. I think that if you want to, you should at least let your companies get back to profitability before you start making demands. And on a better note, we're going to end on a positive note. So who have stayed at the Park Hyatt Vendome in Paris?
Not in a while, maybe 3 years ago before COVID.
I've had breakfast there.
With me.
With you, exactly. Yeah. I think I stayed there once, a long time ago when it opened.
Right. And it's funny because Matthew Clint and we see eye to eye on a lot of things, and this is one of them. It's like it's a special place, right? It was a phenomenal value. I mean, remember back in the days when I got hooked on staying there, when Melinda and I stay there for weeks every year, because you had Hyatt had a promo back in like 2010, 11, 9, 10, 11-ish, that right, if somewhere around there. And that promo was if you stay 2 nights, you got one free. And that was the gig.
So
and
you got 6 nights.
There was a Hyatt out, an unnamed Hyatt in the Chicago suburbs where I lived, where I knew the GM, and I said, "Hey, can I use your AAA day rate and pay you for a ton of nights?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure. We've got low occupancy at this time of year, so." I don't know how many nights I actually stayed there. I went and checked in, but he took care of checking me in and checking me out, right? So they took care of that for me. And also I stayed at the O'Hare one when there was a good deal. So I got a ton. You do literally 2 nights for $90 at this place. Is
wow.
What 2 nights I used to pay for that. A long time ago, of course. That's not anymore, but back in the days when the miles and point game was a little bit more fun. So and so $90, stay there many times, and it's funny. So this is an updated review, and I didn't know that he stayed there on this honeymoon. Now it's what is it, 35,000 points a night, Jamie, not to stay there?
Well, 40, but 35 at the low end.
Low end, so 35 to 45 K Hyatt points in order to.
Wait a minute, I just stayed there. I just stayed there last winter. What am I talking about? Of course, I
thought you did.
I did. I stayed like 3 or 4 nights there. It's very, very nice. Yes,
right,
very
so
nice.
This is the bar. This is the reception area.
Right. I'm sorry.
So, and it's funny. So Melinda, I hope she's watching, but as you can see, she stayed in our suite. He stayed in the one we've stayed in like half of the time. It's either 433 or 333. Those are the 2 suites that we stayed the most in. So that's interesting, right?
Yep. So Matthew gave him a thumbs up too.
He loves the place. It's a magical place. I love the art there.
It's a great location.
Yep, they've in the Rue de la Paix.
Yep.
And then they have, as you can see, the new TVs that they put in a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. They're inside the mirrors, which is kind of cool. Some more modern stuff with some USBs and chargers and things like that.
Hotel with a great breakfast.
Right. We'll get to that. So he took a ton of pictures. Like that's the view from the balcony.
There it is. Pasta board right down the street.
Right. So you have the Vendome thing here. You got a Toto toilet and things like that. I think the welcome amenity, I probably stay there a lot more because I get a much better amenity than that. Not some cheap wine and whatever that is. What's in the thing there? Is that like potpourri? Espresso machine. They went from glass bottle to plastic a few years ago. An abomination, if you ask me. The gym, who cares? Let's see. The spa is nice. They got that little tub there in the thing in the sauna for those who haven't been. Here's the orchidée or orchids or orchidée in French. So the buffet is gone.
Well, COVID didn't do anybody any favors.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, look at the buffet. It used to be here. It's like a table in there.
Yeah.
Are they not going to bring it back? Is the question. He says, even after 8 years of marriage, my wife and I do not agree to room service. I don't know what that is, what the point of that is, but so it says that the room service by Globalist, you can have that. There was no buffet. Perhaps still a pandemic thing, but we had a lovely breakfast by the fireplace. The buffet there was just amazing. I just love the buffet there. It's not very big, but it has the qualities out of this world. So, they have the usual suspects and things like that, but a little bit of a disappointment that they have gotten rid of the buffet for now. And then Café Jean is 2-star, and it's got a burger that's $55 for a cheeseburger. Yeah, if that's kind of the only I've had it twice. And both times we were comped because the room wasn't ready. So, so it looks like the Vendome is back. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's fun. But the buffet is gone for now. And,
I'll make it through. You'll make it through. Don't worry. It'll come back. Keep going.
We can only hope. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the Miles and Points report for today. I hope everybody had a good time and getting caught up on what's going on around us. Gentlemen?
Yep. Thank you very much. Nice to see you.
Dad?
Jamie, goodbye. Tommy, goodbye. Take care.
Adios.
That's good.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. See you in a couple of weeks at 3 p.m. Pacific.